Well, that guy got the shit beat out of him, and then he was sad for a while, and that's Night of Seven Kingdoms. That's what happened. We finished off.
Spoilers. No
I mean,
spoilers.
this is a spoilers show for everybody involved. We're talking spoilers.
Right.
We're not gonna be like, there might be a night, there might not, there might be a kingdom. I don't know. It's not like that. We're gonna talk about the Night of Seven Kingdoms because we all three of us finished watching the first season, as did much of the world, I imagine, as it was a highly enjoyed show by many people and was very popular. It was a 6-episode first season. So we're going to talk about the season and we're going to reflect on it, but we're also going to talk about where it fits in first seasons in the history of recent TV shows, because people are really hyped about this show. Really, really hyped. We may feel the same way. We may not. I guess we'll get to it. Obviously, we've liked it so far if you've been listening to our stuff. So let's first just talk about that last episode. Just real quick. Let's overview that. Jonathan, how did you feel about the last episode?
I loved the episode. I've loved every episode. This was the emotional, powerful episode that came after the big fight episode, which is a classic Game of Thrones TV trope where the big battle happens and then it's a quieter episode. But they do quieter better on this show too than almost all Game of Thrones episodes. Honestly, they do everything better on this show pretty much, except for the absolute pinnacle of Game of Thrones. I really loved this episode. Also, it was sweet. I was moved. I was absolutely moved multiple times by it. Peter Claffey as Dunk is so earnest, and it's impossible not to want great things for that guy, not to root for him. And I was thinking, this has only been 3 hours of TV. These are half-hour episodes. There's no way to ever think of Peter Claffey as anything but Dunk again, as far as I'm concerned. This is the role of his life. And hopefully he'll play it for a very, very long time. I think he probably will. They apparently have 15 seasons potentially of story because these are all short episodes, short seasons, and George R. R. Martin has written so many Hedge Knight stories already. So they apparently really can do that if they want. And I don't see any reason why not to. I mean, who knows? Maybe the quality will dip, of course. That would be a great reason not to. But if we can get anything close to what we're getting here, I mean, this show has all the potential in the world to be everything. I think without question, this show should be at least something we talk about as one of the best first seasons of all time, if not the best first season of all time. And then, I mean, it's a little unfair to say this after 3 hours of show when something like The Pitt, this would be the end of episode 3 of the 15 episode, first season. So it's 20% of The Pitt. That's all they have to fill time wise. But I think there's a world where this show is the best show of all time. I think that is asking a lot. They have to, but if they keep this quality up and they do this for year after year after year, I don't know if anything's going to be able to beat this show. That's how much I like it anyway.
You're making me really sad right now because I remember you making this exact same argument to me excitedly right around Game of Thrones season 4. Right around there.
Oh, yeah. It was true.
Season 5 was coming up. Season 5 was going pretty well. Season 5 ended well.
Incredible.
Yeah. And you were talking like that, huh? You were saying those words. Those pretty much are those exact words.
You have to have these conversations. You have to say, it's possible Pat Mahomes could be the GOAT. And then you find out if he's going to be or not. But, it's okay to have the conversation, right? Right now, Tom Brady's the guy. Pat Mahomes is sort of fallen off a little bit, but it doesn't mean he can't still be the GOAT. He can still pull this out. He's going to have a hell of a second half of a career, but it's there for him, right? It's possible. There's so few players it's even possible for, and that's the same with shows, right? Very few shows can ever even be considered for something like this. And the fact that this is anywhere near this conversation, do you remember after the second episode or the third episode, I was saying I guess there's a world where if this show just keeps getting better episode after episode, it'll be better than The Pitt by the end. And now I'm it's clearly better than The Pitt. We've had 3 hours, 6 episodes, and to me, I don't see anything knocking this off its perch for the whole year. It's February. I don't see how anything's going to be better than this. That's how much I love this show.
I don't think I'm there with you. I like it a lot, but I don't think I'm quite there with you. So,
that's
Chris,
sad.
where are you on this? Do you feel exuberant and essentially aroused to the level that Jonathan is, or are you more just this is a really good show?
I'm in the really good show
Yeah.
I would struggle
Sad.
to call this potentially the best show of all time. Like I think even like if I look at sort of the first season of Game of Thrones, I think is probably better than this.
There's an argument to be
obviously
made
we
there.
know that the arc is bad at the end, but it like I was more like holy God.
I think there's a good argument to be made there, and we will get to that.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about where it fits in all of the first seasons. And I do think we shouldn't gloss over what you did mention about how it's 3 hours total of TV. Like, that gives it a bit of an advantage. It's why when we are talking about this, we're disqualifying limited series that are not intended to have a second season, because they have an advantage of, like, they know they're going to have a full story. They know where everything is going. It's much easier for them to pace it in a perfect way. So it's not fair to include those. It's not the same level of advantage, but obviously the fewer minutes you have to fill, the easier it is to make every minute something enjoyable. So there is an advantage there, and I think maybe it should be given like a slight handicap for that. I'm not really sure if that's necessary or not, but it probably should, because it's less total enjoyment for you, right? You watch it for 3 hours instead of watching it for 15 hours. If you got 15 hours of that level of enjoyment, that would be better than 3 hours of that level of enjoyment. So is 15 hours of 85% of that level of enjoyment worth more than 3 hours of that level of enjoyment? Maybe. I'm not sure. Hard to say.
I think when you get to the margins of this stuff, I just want things to be perfectly lengthed, perfectly timed, whatever it is for that piece of media. And so some things, one of the things I used to love actually that Netflix allowed for, and this was with the show The OA back in 2014 or whatever it was, maybe 2016, a show also I hold near and dear to my heart. I still am bitter about Netflix canceling it 9 years later or whatever it is. I'm still really upset about it. I still need to know. I need to see the last 3 seasons of that show, but never will. One of the things that the OA did that was brand new at that point was they had episodes in one season that sometimes were an hour long and sometimes were 27 minutes long. And they had the full freedom to make it as long or as short as they felt it needed to be, and no more or less than that. And up until then, everyone was doing a uniform amount of time. Even Netflix shows were always the same amount of time, get within a minute at least, because I don't know why. Like at some point, I guess Britt Marling and I don't know her co-creator's name off the top of my head. I'm certainly not going to say it correctly, so I'm not going to try. They maybe, I'm guessing they said to Netflix, why do we have to adhere to these time limits? Like, we can do anything. Like, it's an incredible opportunity. Like, we're streaming here. It's all on demand. There's no commercials. It doesn't matter. Let us just make the show we want to make. And Netflix said yes to that. But even now, we mostly don't see that. Mostly we see shows adhere to similar time lengths, except for like a special show, this finale or like the big battle where they add 15 minutes and it's a special episode versus just what's the right amount of time for this. So I feel like this was the right amount of time for this story that we just saw. I don't know about, and I've never read The Hedge Knight or The Tales of Dunk and Egg or anything like that. I've never read any George R.R. Martin in my life. I've only watched it on HBO like everybody or most of the other people in the world. I don't know what the right amount of time is for the next set of stories. Are they all going to be half-hour episodes? Are they all going to be 6-episode seasons? I have no idea. Maybe this was just right for this, or maybe that's what they're going to do. Either way, though, I just want it to be correct, and I will say there's not a minute of this show that feels wasted to me throughout the entire thing. And even things that I questioned in like season or episode 2 or 3 where they did a little like the Sir Arlen stuff. Sir Arlen walks out and he's got a hog the size of like my TV, you know? Like at the time I was like, is this really necessary? But like thinking about it, I was like, there's something happening here. We're getting to know Sir Arlen more, which as it turns out is important. Because it turns out he's actually like the third most screen time of anyone in the whole show, which was shocking to me that it ended up going that way. As I mentioned at the time to you, it seems like this is how Dunk remembers him, and so that's what we're learning about here. It's a moment that teaches us about Dunk, not really about Sir Arlen.
I think it would have been a terrible show if he didn't have a huge dick. What a brave choice is what I'm saying. And that was not a that was the hardest part apparently, was finding the actor, casting the right actor for that, because there are very few people in the world who are even you could even consider. Come on.
There's like 3 guys.
That's not real.
Well, dude, it's all acting. He's not. He's not actually a knight, but no, he's a person.
Yeah.
He isn't CGI. He's not.
Of course.
Not AI.
Of course.
And that dick is real as humanity, buddy.
I'm glad you know that. Yeah, and I'm sure that's true.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, the giant Knight of Seven Kingdoms penis. All right. Anyway, Knight of Nine Kingdoms, by the way. LOL.
Yeah. By the way.
Yeah.
By the way.
So let's talk about how this fits with other recent first seasons. Let's start with recent stuff because we know where Jonathan sits. It seems he might have it number one over the past 5 or 10 years. Is my guess. For me, it's clearly behind 2 season 1s, and I wonder if Chris agrees with me. One of them, as you all know who listen to this, I love The Pitt. I thought season 1 of The Pitt was perfect, and there was lots of it, which was enjoyable to me. I was really happy that it was 15 hours or however much total time it was. I think The Pitt is number 1 for me, and then Severance season 1 is number 2. I think disregarding Severance season 2, which I think fell off, but season 1 of Severance was fucking fantastic. So I'm putting Severance and The Pitt over this. I think they both clear it pretty easily for me. But this, I think, is third, unless you guys bring something up that I hadn't thought of.
I think for me, so far, just of the things you're naming, I think this is better than The Pitt season 1 for me, but I think it's close. Pitt season 1 is near perfect TV, and I could watch an hour of The Pitt every week for the rest of my life and be a happy boy, you know? Mm-hmm. I think Severance season 1, I think it probably is better. I think I agree with you. I hadn't thought of Severance, but now that you say it, Severance season 1 is such an achievement. It's so complex compared to this, which is such a local, simple story. And there's something beautiful about it being simple, but it's easier. It's a much easier ask on the storytellers and the audience. And Severance also, and I don't know if we should dock anybody for this, but A Knight of Seven Kingdoms is also an adapted story. And so, like, George R. R. Martin still had to write the story, and they had to pick it, and they had to do it well. But maybe it should be dinged a point for that when something like Severance was an original story where they don't have anything else to go on. They don't know how people are going to react to it. They don't know what works and what doesn't. They have no feedback on it. You know, maybe that matters. I don't know if it does or not. I think I would have Severance 1. I think I have this currently at number 2 of the 3 we've mentioned. I have The Pitt season 1, number 3. All of them I would rewatch time and time again, happily. I have a few others I just want to throw out there of recent season 1s that I think are at least worthy talking about as maybe being better or not. One thing that comes to mind right away is The Bear. The Bear season 1 I thought was shockingly good. I don't know. I think it had a little bit of ups and downs as opposed to A Knight of Seven Kingdoms. This goes back to what you were saying and what I was saying as well of length, though, where... Like, how long is season 1? Maybe 6 hours or so? Maybe less than 6 hours, I guess. But more than 3. And here you just have a lot less time. But the Bear was a little bit more uneven, so I guess I'd put it below it. But, like, the first 2 episodes of The Bear, and there's certain episodes of The Bear which are basically about as good as TV can be in seasons 1 and 2 for me.
Well, season 2 in particular, I think if we're just talking about individual seasons, season 2 of The Bear is better than season 1 of The Bear. So if we weren't just couching it as season 1s alone, I think The Bear season 2 might be right around the same as Knight of Seven Kingdoms for me. I think season 1 was a little below. Season 2 had 7 fishes, and it had forks, and it had, I forgot what the episode was called, but Marcus in Copenhagen, which was like just like a cozy perfection episode.
They had those 3 episodes in a row also. It went Marcus to fish to forks, I believe, is how it went. Which is wild that they could do that. I still I think I put that below as well because there's still some unevenness in the season, but maybe that's because they have to do 10 episodes, and if they had to only do 6, maybe I would agree with you. For me, it's slightly below, but that's a second season anyway. Maybe it's not even fair to have that part of the conversation. It's also a magnificent season of television. One also I would happily rewatch. I could watch Forks forever also, just that episode. Yeah. That is my all-time favorite, The Bear episode, and I think one of the better episodes of TV of the last several years.
Speaking of the better episodes of TV in the last several years, there's a show that had a very good first season that I hadn't thought of until just now, which is The Last of Us.
Yes.
I was just about to bring it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has maybe the best episode out of all of these. It's arguable, right? The kind of like compartmentalized episode with the the story of, I don't remember the character's name, but Nick Offerman's character and his eventual husband, and that whole story was incredible. An amazing episode of TV, and elevates that show to higher heights than it really should be based on the rest of the season, I think. But it has to be part of the qualification, right? Like, where does that rank for you, Jonathan?
It ranks below everything we've mentioned, but I was going to mention it as well as a candidate for best first season of the last, 10, 15 years, because it was awesome and powerful and emotional. And it's easy to talk about that third episode, which is almost certainly the best episode they have on that. However, there are many other excellent episodes that season, and I'm just thinking about the two that come right after it, which is where they're in that little sort of city and they meet the two brothers, the little kid, and the heartbreaking thing that happens where the older brother has to kill his younger brother because the kid turns. And like Ellie thinking she can heal him by just like putting some of her blood on it, like, 'cause she's a kid and she doesn't like understand and just thinks it's going to be fine, and like actually is putting everyone in danger. Like, it's so heartbreaking. And I remember the moment when he kills his brother and then just kills himself because he can't believe he had to do that. And I was just so like hit in the head with a frying pan with it. I was like, it threw me off my game so much because things like that don't happen in TV, that level of like instant brutality. It's like the end of The Departed. I know this is a movie now, when suddenly everyone's getting shot in the head out of nowhere. It happens like 3 times in a minute and a half, it feels like. It's like 2 people die in the elevator, and I mean, it's just like bam, bam, oh my God, what's happening, And there's something very real and authentic and powerful about those kinds of moments. So I think The Last of Us is, especially season 2, severely underrated. And now because season 2 was so disliked by so many people, the whole show is a little bit underrated. Season 1 is awesome. Season 2 really good too. But an awesome, awesome first season. But to me, still at the bottom of this particular list, where we're doing the elite only, you don't even get it. Most people don't even get in the door here. For me, it's at the back of it.
Yeah, I think for me too. But I think it's close to Night of Seven Kingdoms for me. It's just you can see it in the rearview mirror. It's not that far.
That's fair. I think that's totally fair. Another one I like to put out there. This is a really different kind of TV, but The Rehearsal season 1.
Oh yes,
is like unlike anything I've ever seen. And by the way, season 2 more unlike anything I've ever seen.
The Sully episode is so fucking incredible. It's like,
I mean, I think about that sometimes. I think not the Sully episode, although I do think about that moment where he's like the "Wake Me Up Inside" and all
Wake
that,
Me Up
where he's
Inside,
listening.
yeah.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
But I think about just like the whole last episode where he's like flying them around, and it's real, and they keep trying to show you this isn't computers, this isn't like CGI, this is real. He's really flying in an airplane, and everyone's in it. We're trying, it's like, we know you don't believe it, but it's real. And then they had to do all this press about it, how he's actually a pilot, because it was so odd, But that whole season 2, but season 1 as well, was just remarkable and shocking and unusual, and just, I mean, being in Nathan Fielder's right in the middle of his like cerebral cortex is just something. It's just not something anyone ever gets to do. Certainly, I've never had any experience like that before. It's a really special, incredible thing, and it's like a wild card because it's so different.
It's
Everything
like,
else is
I don't know how to
narrative
categorize it. It's Jones. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh my God!
You should check it out. You should really check it out. Everybody who's listening who hasn't seen The Rehearsal, it's kind of like you don't really know what it is until you've seen it, and it's hard to explain it until you've seen it.
That's correct.
But just to give a basic premise, which is interesting enough, and then it really takes it in weird directions. But he is trying to help people rehearse for big moments in their lives. And the first episode kind of lives on its own, although it does connect to the other ones, and shows what he's doing, where he's helping this guy rehearse in very meticulous ways for how he's going to confront somebody in his trivia club because about something that is awkward to him and he doesn't want to confront her about. And he like constructs the bar that they go to with perfect replication. It's like the exact same thing. He constructs it and like they rehearse the situation over and over again. And the show goes in really weird directions that are real life directions that he really does with real people, using that concept as a baseline. But that's how it starts, and it's really worth seeing.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah,
it's really something. It's wildly unusual.
Yeah,
I have 3 shows that came up just as I was searching on like the last 5 years, and this is more like shows that have had really a lot of critical and popular acclaim. I actually probably wouldn't hold them up against it, but I'm curious what your response is to these. First is White Lotus.
Not even close for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I think White Lotus is super fun and watchable, but that's really different than, like, I don't think I would ever consider going back and rewatching White Lotus.
Yeah.
Well, I rewatched a bunch of the things we've already talked about multiple times. So
right.
to me, it's not close.
Yeah, I tend to agree. How about this one? This is a kind of a entirely different genre. Ted Lasso.
Oh, interesting to put it in there. I think its rewatchability is high because it's a comedy and it's like, easy to watch. I don't think it's anywhere near the craft of any of these other shows. We're mostly going to be talking about not non-comedies, not like sitcoms, but they deserve a mention. Ted Lasso is one of the better versions of that. At least season 1 is. I think by season 3 or 4, whatever the last season was, it kind of sucked. But season 1 was fun, right? Enjoyable. But I don't think I put it up there. Do you, Jonathan?
Oh, no, not at all. Ted Lasso goes down real easy, and he's, especially season 1, I think it's probably his best season. Season 2 is interesting and pretty good as well. He's an extremely likable character. You root like hell for him, but you feel like very much you're watching a TV show with all the typical comedic beats and all these things that we've seen a million times. It's not that it's unemotional, but it's not deeply emotional the way a lot of the things we've talked about are, which means for it to make this list, it would have to be really funny, which it's also not. It's amusing, right?
This brings up a thought. We can expand the timeline a little bit just for this question. Are there any like sitcom type shows that you would think would reach this pantheon level? The one that comes to mind for me is 30 Rock potentially, or maybe Scrubs.
30 Rock season 1 is awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost its own separate category, though.
Yeah, it is.
Best comedy seasons of first comedy seasons. Because to me, 30 Rock, which I am rewatching right now, I'm like, you're just finishing season 3, and I'm enjoying it. It's still like, it's not one note, but it's like 2 notes. You know, it's the same 2 notes. They're great notes. They're played very well, as opposed to like these layered, deeply emotional, sometimes funny shows. Like, by the way, Night of Seven Kingdoms has humor.
Yeah.
I laughed during season 5 when he was getting his ass kicked in that thing. I laughed out loud a few times because I just couldn't believe how badly he was getting his ass kicked. It was so shocking to me and incredible. And then even like Night of Seven Kingdoms episode 6, at the very first shot is the old maester and the lord, I don't know his name, we're standing there just sort of looking at Dunk, like taking him because Dunk looks so bad, and we just see their points of view. You see their faces from his point of view, and it's very funny. Because they're so like, and then remember the maester's like, he's going to die, and they're like, oh, he's a terrible maester. Don't worry about him. It's nothing. Funny. It's not like. It's not a comedy for sure, but there's comedic elements to it that are real here, as opposed to The Pitt, which has essentially zero comedy. And most of these things, Last of Us has no comedy, right? And that's fine too. I don't think there's a comedy for me anyway that even comes close to the kinds of things we're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. Jones, did you have some other ones?
I got one more that I think I know the answer to, but I'm going to throw it out there because it had got a ton of critical acclaim and kind of broke its own genre, which is Andor.
Oh. Well, it was pretty good, season 1, I thought. As far as the Star Wars season 1s, which mostly I could just throw right in the toilet and piss on. Like, I'm mad at them. Andor was good. It was kind of its own story. It was mostly outside of the Star Wars universe. It didn't really matter that much that it was in Star Wars. So that was nice in a way, because we didn't get all of the bullshit of like, we don't really care about these characters because we know they're going to live, or it's a no-name character that we've just been introduced to and all the other characters are known, so that one's going to die. There was none of that, and it was well done, but I don't put it anywhere near these guys.
I agree. Season 1 was really great. I enjoyed it tremendously, but I don't think it's close to these other episodes, these other shows for me either. I know that's not true for some people. Some people think Andor is essentially the best TV of the last several years. They're like the 2 seasons together. I am not in that camp. I think it's a little bit cold, even though there's some non-cold moments for sure, like Stellan Skarsgård, incredible monologue at the end of season 1. You know, I burned my life for people I'll never, you know, I won't ever meet. You know, I will not see that. I mean, that's like an amazing moment. But these things, like these shows, and Night of Seven Kingdoms is a great example. I have moved every single episode in one way or another by these other shows. Like, I care so deeply about these characters, and everything that happens feels so deliberate and thought out. Not that Andor isn't well thought out, but it's just another level for me. I know that's not the way everyone feels, but I think that's true for Grant. Now, Chris, you thought Andor was the best show of the year last year.
Yeah.
I believe. So where do you stand with Andor's first season?
I still think the second season, I think you can argue, I think they didn't have enough room, and you know, they had all these time shifts, and I felt it was a little disjointed. But that first season, I think, is near perfect television. Like, it's just such a compelling way to build a storyline, and I loved how it exited out of like the camp of Star Wars land, and there were no space wizards and whatever, and it was really just about the impact of this political universe on humans and how they existed in it. And I really ate it up. So I loved it. But I understand not putting it in the same category, because I think I think The Pitt is clearly like a better show. Like, right? Like, I loved the subject matter that it was dealing with in Andor, but The Pitt is just superior television.
I want to talk about comedies for a second, but I will say not a single lightsaber, I believe, in all 2 seasons of Andor.
Yeah.
Boy, turns out we really needed that. None of the Force and no lightsabers. Thank God. All right, we were talking about comedies and if there were any that could be possibilities here. And I actually have thought of 2 things that I would at least think belong in the conversation. I don't know if you guys have even seen these shows. One is Fleabag, which is from Amazon. I would say season 1 of Fleabag, actually season 2 is even better than season 1, but season 1 is essentially a season of perfect television. And it's a comedy, and yet it's also deeply emotional, powerful. It has all the things I was saying that like Ted Lasso doesn't have. To me, that show, I think, does belong in this conversation for real and is ahead of some of these other things. I think that's probably ahead of The Last of Us for me, season 1, and probably some other things. It might be at the very top if I let myself think about it enough. I don't know. I love that show. And again, season 2, even better somehow. And apparently Phoebe Waller-Bridge said she knew she was never going to make any more after the second season because it was just like, it was basically impossible to top that. So she just stopped. That still is a show where it's like 3 hours of TV total. I think there's 6 episodes. They're mostly 30 minutes long. So it's easier, but, you know, whatever. The other comedy I want to bring up, and I don't know if either of you have seen this, is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That's an Amazon show. 5 seasons of that, and it tells the whole story, like from beginning to end. They ended when they wanted to, not because they were canceled. That is a great show all the way through, and that first season is not as good as Fleabag, but probably the second best comedy I can think of for like first seasons that in terms of like the craft of television. Like it's doing a lot of things all at once. It's doing them extremely well. It's funny. It's smart. It's a period piece that's like kind of perfect. It's really high quality TV and doesn't ever get mentioned on any kind of like best of list as far as I know. All right,
Moving along, let's expand our scope a little bit. Let's talk about where this fits against historical things, because I think Jonathan has it first so far, you know, of all the shows that we've talked about, and I have it third. Jonathan has Severance maybe over it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have Severance over it, and actually, I think I have Fleabag over it too. I think it's third for me, but a different third than your third, because you have Severance. We both have Severance number 1, right?
I have Pitt number 1.
Oh, you have the Pitt number 1. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, this is tough. This is like, you know, who are my favorite children, and who are the children I have to throw off the bridge here. These are all Sophie's choices type of things, but so be it. You know?
So I want to touch on what Chris mentioned earlier, is that an argument could be made that Game of Thrones season 1 is better than Night of Seven Kingdoms season 1. And I can see that argument pretty strongly, actually. And I think part of why it's easy to dismiss it is recency bias, of course, but also like how familiar we are as people and culturally with Game of Thrones season 1 at this point makes it feel almost not special anymore because it's so well known. But like Dunk is probably as good of a hero as there is in season 1 of Game of Thrones, but there's no villain that's close to Joffrey. There's there's nobody touching Joffrey, villain-wise, in Night of Seven Kingdoms. And there's no moment touching Ned Stark's head getting cut off in Night of Seven Kingdoms either. I know Baelor dying was a big moment, and that was, tough, but it was not even close, or as surprising as Ned Stark's head getting cut off. Like, Joffrey plus the actual most likable, heroic character in the show getting his head cut off when you don't expect it, I think that puts it ahead of Night of Seven Kingdoms.
I will say this. They cast that kid to be Joffrey, and it feels like they've been chasing that high ever since. Like, they just keep making evil princes, and no one can touch Joffrey. Like, everything is like a fake copy of Joffrey in one way or another. Like, I mean, that's the model they're working off.
I mean,
right?
Even in the same show, even Ramsay Bolton is like, he's like a lesser Joffrey,
Right. He's a really evil character, and he does his job well. The actor's doing a good job, I think, but he still is a version of Joffrey, and everyone feels like a version of Joffrey, and that's true in Night of Seven Kingdoms. That's Arryn, right?
Yeah.
But he's a version of Joffrey, right? That's the way we're doing bad guys here, and that's that's fair. That's fair, and I certainly agree with you. Ned Stark getting his head cut off is you. If you didn't know it was coming, you could never see it coming. You are programmed to believe he will not die.
Yeah.
Because everything we've ever seen in our entire lives in media, in TV, movies, and books, even music, that guy never dies right there in all of our lives. And so for him to die is so incredible, so shocking, and that even when I rewatch it, it kind of surprises me. It still is like, really?
Yeah.
This is really happening?
Yeah.
How can this be happening? But then Arya looks up and the birds fly over and it's silent, and it's actually happening for real. That's the moment when you realize
what is it that Joffrey says? She says, "My mother has advised me to be lenient on Ned Stark, but those are woman's words," or like something like that. And it's like, oh fuck, he's gonna do it. Yeah.
But even then, you don't really think. You think Sansa's going to say something to save the day, or Arya's going to save the day, or someone's going to step up, or Ned Stark's going to. Doesn't Ned Stark just have to basically apologize? I think, and they're just not going to kill him. Like, that's all he has to do. And so, you just think something's going to happen there, right? But Ned Stark is too proud to consider it, and Joffrey's too evil. Actually, it doesn't even matter. I don't think it matters what Ned Stark does at this point. Joffrey's just going to have him killed because Joffrey's that guy. That's who he is. It's possible if I rewatch Game of Thrones Seasons 1, I would agree with you. And when I have rewatched it, I'm always amazed at just how darn good it is. It's deliciously good. It's like, oh my God. And knowing the characters makes it better. Mm-hmm. Knowing what's going to happen somehow makes Season 1 better, not worse. Because you get to take in all the little moments and all the little things that are happening. Because there's so many characters, especially in Season 1, but maybe throughout all of Game of Thrones. But in the beginning, you're just thrown in. They just drop you in and deal with it, man. And so for me, the first time I saw episode 1 and 2 of Game of Thrones, I barely could keep up. It was hard to enjoy it. But on the second watch, it was like, oh, I know everyone. I know exactly what's going on. This is incredible. And it never gets worse. I've probably seen it 5 times at this point. And it's an amazing show. So I'm believing Night of Seven Kingdoms will hold up to that degree. I've rewatched episode 4, which is the one where he's trying to get people to join him to be part of the Seven, and it held up amazing. I watched it 4 days later just to see if it was really as good as I remembered, and it was. It was just as good the second time through. And there are also, it feels like, the same kind of tiny details in it that matter, and even things where the Egg's brother says I dreamed of you. I dreamed that a dragon died on top of you, but you survived. And he's like, did I kill the dragon? He's like, I cannot say. And one interpretation of that is that we watched that happen in episode 5 at the end, right? When Baelor falls and he catches him, and he does not kill Baelor, but Baelor the dragon dies. And that is quite possibly what the dream was. We don't know, but it's also possible we're going to see what it is way down in the future, and it's going to be a real dragon too. We just don't know. But there's just so much there. It feels very rich, and that's the thing I love, because I rewatch shows I love, and the stuff that holds up is to me the whole thing. Like when they're putting in so much detail and so much character nuance and so many things that pay off episodes down the line, to me, that's a show that's really worth watching multiple times. And we've talked about a few of them. I have more, by the way. We haven't even talked about all the ones. But if we're trying to put it into like the greater context of best first seasons, like you're talking about, I think Game of Thrones has got to be a candidate for best first season of all time. I really do.
Yeah.
I would put West Wing as a conversational piece. I don't think it is. I think that's not when West Wing really started cooking. I think it was season 2 is when West Wing really got it going on with 17 people and the MS and all that kind of stuff. Season 1 is still excellent, but you can see they're still figuring it out a little bit. It's still better than most shows and it has high rewatchability, but not as good for me.
It's also suffers from being in a different era where TV was less prestigious and it was maybe not taken as seriously by anybody involved as current shows are, from like a cinematography, filmmaking perspective, and all of the elements that make for like a movie level experience that the shows now have.
That is true. I will say that West Wing did bring a different level of production than we'd really ever seen before on TV, for network TV. They brought lighting that was movie level lighting. They invented the walk and talk, which is where you have two characters walking through and then they switch to two other characters and you go with them for a while. Like West Wing started doing that because that's the way Aaron Sorkin wrote it and they decided to shoot it that way.
I mean, they invented it and then they beat it to death. That's what they did.
That's fair. That's fair. And even the lighting thing, the West Wing has a very distinctive look. Like you could show me just like a still from the West Wing and I'll probably know it's from the West Wing just because of the lighting. Like it's really different. But certainly you're right. Like we're now like the Dunk and Egg stuff is like cinematic quality for sure. Like without question. And that wasn't the case at the old time. But for the time, it was the same level of this. This is sort of like saying, well, the Matrix special effects aren't that good. It's like, well, man, when the Matrix came out, no one had ever seen anything like it, and it blew us all away. So it's a little bit like that, I think.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Somehow we haven't talked about Breaking Bad. Where does it fit with Breaking Bad?
For season 1 specifically,
man,
Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. I think season 1 is its second weakest season. I think the last season is its weakest season. I think season 1 is its second weakest season. I think 2, 3, 4, and the first, I guess 5 or the first half of 5, however you want to delineate that, are really at not Game of Thrones, are Breaking Bad at its absolute best. I mean, I was trying to think about like the Breaking Bad pilot episode actually, and like, is that like what are the best pilots of all time? Because I just rewatched Paradise episode 1, season 1, because they just released Paradise actually today, season 2, the first few episodes. So I'm excited to watch it, but I got me going. So I rewatched the pilot episode, and it was essentially a perfect pilot. I was kind of knocked out that it's about as good a pilot as I've ever seen. And I started thinking, like, was that the best pilot? And I was like, well, Breaking Bad had an amazing pilot. And I started thinking about season 1, and season 1 is truncated. So it's a little unfair to Breaking Bad. They had the writer's strike. They were going to kill off Jesse at the end of season 1. And instead, because of the writer's strike, they only have, 9 episodes, I think it is, instead of the full 13 that they were supposed to have. Maybe it's 7. I think it's 7 episodes. But whatever it is. And then a whole story ends up happening about that. But it doesn't get to tell its story fully because it wasn't their fault. They just got cut off in the middle. It's still an awesome first season. I think I put it a little below this because this got to tell its whole story. And Breaking Bad doesn't entirely Breaking Bad ends with Tuco beating his guy to death.
Yeah.
And it does end cleanly. Like that could be the end of the first season. It isn't like, what? How can it end there? But it's also right in the middle of everything that's going on, as opposed to this, which tells a really neat, tied up first story. So for me, I liked this season. I think this season was better than Breaking Bad season 1. But I think Breaking Bad season 1 is also part of this conversation. It has to be. Where do you guys have Breaking Bad in all of this?
I think as a complete series, it's definitely either it's 1, 2, or 3. I don't know yet. It's somewhere it's Mount Rushmore for sure. Season 1 is hard for me to delineate from the rest of it as easily as you could. I guess you have this well memorized, but I kind of mesh them together at this point because it's one cohesive story. So it's hard for me to say from a season perspective. I do remember, and I know that I'm higher on Better Call Saul than you, but Better Call Saul season 1 I thought was fantastic as well. And it's probably a better season 1 than Breaking Bad if what you say is true with like the the writer's strike truncating the season, Better Call Saul got to tell its entire season 1 story. And I thought talking about Andor before, that's a really fun way to like look at this universe that we've been introduced to in another show from a different perspective with Better Call Saul. And I really enjoyed that. And it had a lot of the coziness of like Forks in The Bear somehow was entered into Better Call Saul. Everything just felt a little bit cozy, even though it was nefarious and you knew bad things were going to happen. So I mean, for me, Better Call Saul is up there. It's above Night of Seven Kingdoms. The season 1 is. It's, you know, I think the Pitt is my favorite first season of all time. Now that I keep thinking about it, I really do. But Better Call Saul is way up there. Game of Thrones is way up there. Those things are both above Night of Seven Kingdoms for me. Severance is above Night of Seven Kingdoms for me. Everything else we've talked about, I think it could be interchangeable with Night of Seven Kingdoms. That was close, at least.
Okay. I have a few other things I could even throw out there which you haven't yet to mention.
Okay.
Which I think deserve at least to have their moment in the sun, Grant. One of them, Ozark season 1.
For me, no. For me, it's not in the same level.
Okay. I mean, I think most people agree with you, but I think Ozark is really a tremendous work and is good all the way through. And I deeply love that show. And I think it is, I mean, I have Breaking Bad as my number 1 show of all time. And it's sort of like Netflix is like, let's do our own Breaking Bad. It always felt like that a little bit. Even though our guy is bad from the beginning, it still has that feel to it. It's not as good as Breaking Bad, clearly. But I think it is not far away.
I think it's good, but I never liked it as much as I was like supposed to, basically. I felt like, you know, thinking on the beats of it and how the story unfolded, it was like, oh, that's a good show. But actually watching it was just not as enjoyable for me. Something about it was just like, I didn't enjoy minute by minute watching it as much as the other shows we're talking about.
Okay. That's fair. Chris, you nodded when I said Ozark. What's your take on it?
Oh, I think it's a really excellent show. I think I probably put Night of the Seven Kingdoms above it. Although I am recalling that first season of Ozark is particularly compelling. And it is one of those shows that, like, I don't know how they did that, but every episode is, like, so plot driven that you, like, can't stop watching. And it's like the rare show that's a kind of don't take a beat, because that show just built on it episode after episode after episode. So it was impressive on that level. So I guess I don't know. I'm talking myself into it, but I as an overall show, I don't like it as much.
That's fair. I think that's fair. Another season 1 I want to throw out there. And also, by the way, this is for me in the conversation of best shows of all time that we have not mentioned at all. Another HBO show, Succession.
Yeah. I was never into that as much as you.
Yeah. I think Succession is an absolute like tour de force.
You love business
television
crimes.
making.
You just love business crimes
It's
so
not really
much.
crime. It's not really crime. It's based on the Murdoch family. I mean, it's just business. It's just they're kind of dicks and
Yeah,
you know,
but if I'm just going to say it succinctly, you love business crimes. Somehow Mountainhead was one of your top movies of the year. That's just proof that you just fucking love business
same
crimes.
Guy. It's the same. I just love Jesse Armstrong. It's
You just love business crimes.
He
so
loves
much.
business crimes. I don't love him. He does.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. Here's a show that maybe no one's ever heard of, except me. But
Great.
Mr. In Between from FX. Have you guys ever heard or seen that?
I saw a couple episodes and I bailed.
Oh, man. That is also an awesome show and a great first season. Has some humor to it, but is dark as fuck. Highly recommended. Definitely not a top 5 show of all time, and definitely not a top 5 first season of all time. But I think like on the outskirts, it's in the team photo. You know, if we got enough, if we're like a baseball team, it's in the team photo. Like we have enough there.
If everybody's injured, it might get to play.
Yeah. Here's 2 other shows I want to bring up. One for me, well, I'll just say them. They were both, I think, originally meant to be limited series, but they're not going to be. So I'm not sure how we'd even count that. True Detective, season 1.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that's like an awesome show, right?
Yeah, it's not on the same
Did
level.
you love that?
I liked it. It's not on the same level for me. I thought it was good, but it wasn't like this.
I thought it was pretty good, but overrated. I know that's blasphemy. Okay. The other one I want to bring up, which was meant to be a limited series, but apparently they are making more, is Adolescence on Netflix.
I haven't seen it.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is like kind of must watch stuff. Only 4 episodes, by the way. Both for the craft as well as just the intensity of the story. It is incredible and one of the best shows of last year, without question. Like,
Yeah, I need to check it out. It just like the subject matter is a little dark. You know, it's hard to imagine getting into it.
Super dark, dude.
Yeah.
Super dark, but as well told as something like this can be, I think, and it feels very fresh. Like very fresh because of the manner in which they decide to tell it, and also the performances. You know, everybody, like that show basically swept every category it was in. It won everything. So like acting, like all the actors won, and I think like everything won basically for that it could possibly win because it was just that good. That and the Pit basically won everything last year.
I will check it out eventually.
Yeah, but that's
so
but
I
they've
think,
only had
like,
4 episodes, so yeah.
I think really what we're concluding is Night of the Seven Kingdoms is one of the best first seasons, in our opinion, of shows ever. It's like, you know, top 10 for sure if we're forgetting some stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Jones, do you have that thought as well?
Yeah, I think it's at the bottom of that top 10 sort of list, but I think it still belongs in the conversation.
That's probably about where it would end up fitting for me. I'm sure we've forgotten some shows that I would be like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that fucking show. Yeah. We didn't even talk about The Wire, which Jonathan and I are lower on than most people, so it would be like a discussion that would just enrage all of these people. Talk about The Wire like talk about Apple versus Sam's versus like Android, where they get like all team Wire. Like they're like, you don't like The Wire? Fuck you. Go kill yourself. You don't like The Wire? Like it's not that show for me. It's pretty good, but I apologize to all of the world.
Did you watch all 5 seasons?
No, I got bored.
So I guess it wasn't pretty good for you. And I didn't watch all 5 seasons either. Yeah. I made it through 3 seasons, but like kicking and screaming. Like the first 2 seasons were so hard for me to get through, not because it was hard to watch, because oh my God, the drama, but more just like I'm not really into this. And season 3, I was into it a little bit more, but not enough to keep going. So I'm with you, man.
Season 4 is really good.
There we go. Well,
I mean, I'm not one of the people you're talking about, but season 4 is like, I think it's the best season of The Wire.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to
maybe I'll check it out sometime. But there's too much stuff to watch. There's so
much to watch. Just think about all the things we've named that like you haven't seen. Like watch all that first. Anyway.
Yeah.
My God. I think for me right now, and you never really know about this stuff until you do, for me, the rewatching. Like a year or 2 from now, when I rewatch all season 1 of A Night of Seven Kingdoms, if I have the same feelings that I have now, or deeper feelings, it's going to move up the list. And if I have less feelings, it'll move down the list. It's hard to be able to predict that until you're there. You know, like how like the level of craft, the level of thoughtfulness, it's hard to know until a year or 2 down the line, and you, for me, watch it again. And I'm excited to do that. But right now, it's certainly in my top 5. I think it's in my top 3 for real. Like, I think it actually is number 3 for me, behind Fleabag and Severance.
Wow.
Best first season of all time, as we're talking about this.
Wow.
But maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not thinking of Game of Thrones season 1 enough. It's been a long time. It's probably been 7 years since I've seen that season, and maybe more at this point. And maybe I'm just like, you know, it got so bad it's easy to like write it off a little bit. But season 1 has nothing to do with that. Season 1's doing its own thing and should not be penalized for the fact that it got shitty.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose, I would definitely put Game of Thrones season 1 ahead of Night of Seven Kingdoms season 1. It's in the top 5 versus the top 10, I would say.
That's fair. I could see myself agreeing with that. And like you said, this is coming off of just literally watching the last episode of Night of Seven Kingdoms like an hour and a half ago for me. So like I'm on the high of it too. I'm like as excited as one could be. Although I've been high about the show, as you know, for the last month and a half. Like I can't believe how good the show is. And I'm super excited that they made it, and I can't wait for more. Yeah.
All right. Well, good. You know what we should do sometime for a show? We should do limited series. What are the best limited series? Because we didn't talk about those, but there are some really great limited series out there.
I got one you're going to disagree with as the best of all time. So we'll come back for it.
Oh, no, don't tell
give
us.
Oh God!
Don't tell
us. All right. Station 11.
Oh, I mean, Chris, did you watch the end of Station 11? Like
Station 11 is
I watched the
perfect season of
we'll get into this on the other.
A perfect season of television. We're doing this next week.
What happened?
I can't wait on this.
Did it get really cold in Minnesota near the end of that run, and like your brain froze a little bit, and you're like,
perfect season.
What are you talking about, Jones?
If you said
Holy fuck!
If you said it was like the best first episode, the best pilot, I would be at least like, I'd be like, I don't agree, but I can see it. I can see it.
There's multiple great episodes in that. There's multiple great episodes in that series, but it completely falls off the rails and sucks ass at the end.
The only show that you could limited series that you could say is better is Chernobyl.
I mean, that's not what I could say. Maybe that's true for you.
We'll get to
I would say there
this
are
is
other
another
limited series that
episode.
are
We're doing
clearly
another
better.
episode.
Okay.
We're not going to do it right now.
I
Jones is
just want to ask
clearly
Chris
wrong.
one question. We're going to do this not now, but I have to ask Chris one question. Have you seen Devs? Have you seen it?
I've seen Devs.
Okay,
Devs is very good. Very, very,
no.
very good.
I don't need your reaction to it. You've seen it, and you said the other thing that you said. That's all I need to know.
No, what's more important is that he saw the last few episodes of Station 11 and said what he said. That's what's more important.
I'll stand by him.
My wife and I were really into Station 11. We were really enjoying it, and then all of a sudden it was like, never mind.
That's like 3 episodes. The last 3 episodes or so, it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
There's also
right
a
now? Not in a good way.
Contrast in the quality of episodes between the ones that were showing the beginning of the pandemic and the current time. I think there's a huge contrast in how good they were.
I mean, really, that first episode is incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really
fabulous. Anyway, it's a different show. Chris can make his arguments then.
It's so hard.
Now you have time. Now you know how we feel. We know how you feel. You have time to prepare your arguments because you know we're going to wreck you. So you might as well prepare some good arguments.
I'll bring my briefs and we'll be prepared to litigate.
Bring the receipts.
You better be.
I got a chip away at the work. I got a bigger play to rehearse. I gotta live today like I'm in the race. Show the world I know my own worth. Heavyweight to burden, I persevere. Been persevering since birth. Fight for what we deserve until we reunite Mother Earth. We're rewriting the rule book, rewiring our brains. Deep dive in the framework, yeah, we can be the change. Future's ours to claim if we grab it by the reins. Break the chain, we're gonna make it rain. We did not come to play.